Hi, good morning. Hope you had a nice weekend. We're going to start today with videos for 9.3. So if you'll turn to section 572 in your book, we'll get started. I'm going to try videos on YouTube this week. The Google slides were okay, but they were taking me a really long time to put together. And I don't have a very strong internet connection out here, so Google Meets is not really an option. So let's give it a try this week. Okay, so 572 in your book, this is 9.3, absolute value inequalities. So we're going to take what we learned with absolute value from the last section and inequalities from the section before that, and we're going to put them together. So here our first one. First I want you to look at the difference between the two of these. What is the difference? And I'm sure you can see that lies right here in your inequality sign. One is less than or equal to, and the other one is just less than. And they are going to have their differences and their similarities in how we solve them. So let's take a look at our first one. Here we want the absolute value of x, given that it's less than or equal to 3. And we know that absolute value means distance to 0. So what different numbers can we put in here that will satisfy this part of the equation? So if we put 3 in here, would 3 be less than or equal to 3? Yes, it would. How about 0? It would. How about -1? What's the absolute value of -1? Well, that's just 1. Is 1 less than or equal to 3? It is. So our solution set for this, we're going to use our square brackets here. Square brackets mean that it's less than or equal to. Okay, so it's going to be -3 and 3. If we put -3 in here, is -3, absolute value of that is 3. Is that less than or equal to 3? Yes, it is. Same thing with 3. So your parameters are going to be everything that lies in between these two numbers, including -3 and 3. And that's what we can see with the brackets here. If you were to graph that on a number line here, let's say this is 0, and here's our -3 and our 3. These circles would be filled in because it's less than or equal to. So that would include everything here in the middle, including -3 and 3. So let's look at this one now. Solving for x is less than 3. So if we break this down a little bit, and we use our same parameters like we did up here, if we write it out, you can see with our x in the middle here and our two outside parameters in the end, does this equation satisfy what we have up here? -3 is less than x and 3 is greater than x. So it's going to be everything in between but not including these two. So if you were to graph it, here's your 0, your -3, your +3. It's not going to include those, but it's going to be everything in between. So your solution set, you're going to use these actual parentheses here instead of the squared off ones, and it's going to look like this. And that will say that x is greater than -3, but less than +3. Okay? All right, so that's example 1. So now I want you to pause it, and I want you to try practice 1, which says x is less than 5. So it's going to be an example that looks like this second one here. So go ahead and press pause and try practice 1. Okay, so let's move on to practice 2, or to example 2. For practice 1, the answer you should have gotten was -5, +5 in parentheses like this. Not the squared parentheses, but this kind. All right, example 2. So now we're going to solve the absolute value of m minus 6, which is going to be less than 2. Okay, so again, we don't have less than or equal to, so we're going to need to follow the example that we did on before on the first example where we write each section out. So if this is our x right here, m minus 6 is our x, let's go ahead and put that in the middle and go ahead and put our inequality signs. Now we know that this value can either be -2 or it can be +2, this value here to satisfy it. So we're going to put -2 over here and +2 over here. Now we're just going to solve for m, and you can do that by adding 6 to each side here. So let's add 6 to each side, and we're going to solve the equation. So this cancels out, -2 and 6, so we have 4 is less than m is less than 8. So this is your example here. And the way that you can write that then is 4, 8. So your solution set is going to be all real numbers that fall between 4 and 8, not including 4 and 8. If you were to graph that on the number line, it would look like this. Here's your 8, here's your 4, 6, oh wait, 6 needs to be in the middle, 6, 5, 7, okay, and it's less than, not less than or equal to, so it's going to be everything there in the middle. Okay, great. Press pause and try example 2 now, please. Okay, that was 1. Here's 2. So the solution for practice 2, which was b, absolute value of b plus 1 is less than 3, should give you -4 and 2. Okay. All right, let's move on to example 3. Example 3 says solve for the absolute value of 5x plus 1 plus 1 is less than or equal to 10. Make sure that's showing up on the video, and it's not. There we go. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do to solve this is you're going to, wait, hang on, plus 1. There we go. And these are our absolute values right here. That should not look like a 4, but it is looking like a 4. Let's fix it. There we go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this guy here. So subtract 1 from each side. So now we have the absolute value of 5x plus 1 is less than or equal to 9. Okay, so now this is our x, and we know that this has to either be less than or equal to 9 or -9 to make it true. So let's rewrite it here. Okay, so that we have -9 is less than or equal to 5x plus 1 less than or equal to +9. All right, so now we're going to solve this equation, this inequality here. So we're going to subtract 1 from all sides. Here we're going to have -10 less than or equal to 5x less than or equal to 9 minus 1 is 8. So now keep going algebraically, divide by 5 each side. So just checking to make sure it's still in the video. What do we have here? We have -2 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 8/5. So here is your answer solution, and it's less than or equal to, so we're going to use these square parenthesis markers. We have -2 and 8/5 for your solution set. Okay, great. Press pause, actually, press pause and do example 3, and I'm going to end this video and make a new one for the next examples in this chapter. Go ahead and press pause and do example 3 though, because I'm going to give you the answer in a second. Okay, so hopefully in doing practice 3, you got solution set of -2/3 and 2. So far, so good? Okay, go on to the next video and we'll keep going.